One of my favorite things about camera tech is building a rig. I've owned the A7S III for just about 8 months now, and my buddy recently picked up the A7 IV. He was asking me some questions about my build and what components go into it. So I just wanted to make a quick little video to show you how I build this and kind of the benefits that come with it. My style as a shooter is very quick run and gun, so I often need to get from a gimbal to handheld to tripod really quickly, and I kind of think that I've found the perfect balance of all three within this rig. I don't want this to be too long of a video, so let's get right into the build. Okay, so starting with the cage itself here, we have the small rig, full cage. I believe this is the original, could be the V2, I'm not 100% sure. But let's throw the camera in the cage. So camera-wise, we have the A7S III, and then I've got the Sigma 24-70 with a black pro mist variable ND, doesn't really matter for the setup. What I do really like about this full cage is that it has the attachments for the eyelets for the neck strap, and you can just get another point of connection here so the camera doesn't wiggle around in the cage. So from here, I'm actually just gonna throw on one of these Manfrotto quick release plates. And again, what I do like about this cage is that it does have the hole for both the 1/4-20 and the larger. So again, 2 points of contact, less chance of anything loosening up. The next thing that I do is I add this cheese plate. Try to find it and link it down below, but honestly, any kind of just small cheese plate setup will work for this. The whole point of this cheese plate is actually just to get a couple more mounting points. There are a bunch of mounting points on the cage itself, but having this cheese plate just makes everything a little bit easier, and it actually allows the handle to be a little bit farther forward, making a nicer kind of center of balance. Again, that cheese plate is just attached on the very back of the cheese plate itself and then to the front of the cage. So I'm not covering up the hot shoe on the camera itself, but it kind of just allows everything to be a little bit more forward. From there, I add a maybe 2.5, 1.5 inch Nato rail. And this is gonna sit right on the front of this cheese plate, centered. And this is where the first handle attaches. Next, we have the Nato side handle, again from Small Rig. I've just added a cold shoe on there. This Nato rail handle will actually just slide right onto that little section of Nato rail that we just added. Solid connection right there via Nato rail. And it gives a nice little side handle on the side that's not the grip. Next, I have a maybe 3-inch, 2.5 inch Nato rail that will sit on top of this. The side handle does have a Nato rail built in, but I find that it's not centered enough in the middle of the camera to make for a nice balanced rig. So what I end up doing is just adding this section of Nato rail right on top there. So again, from Small Rig, we have the Nato rail top handle. I really like these rubber grips. The only difference here is that I've added this monitor mount right to the front of the top handle. So this again, Nato rail will just slide right on top. I have this other wooden side handle. I just like to have this second side handle there. Nice firm grip on both sides. We have a couple different options to mount a mic, and I'll actually just throw this mic right on the cage cold shoe itself. I'm just gonna add the monitor right to the top. And I do like this mount just because it allows you to get this kind of 90-degree angle with your monitor if you are doing low shots or something like that, and then quickly just get to a higher angle. For HDMI, I actually use this ultra thin 2-foot HDMI cable. Very key, pick these up on Amazon. You get a 4-pack for maybe 10 bucks, but they're just right angle HDMI converters. I have those on both ends and I'll show you why. First one just attaches right in. And then I'll generally do something with the HDMI cord itself so it's not completely in the way here. Maybe just give it a few wraps around the top handle. That second right angle HDMI comes in handy because I'll feed it right through here. And that's why I like that right angle, just because it gives you a little bit of room. And already you can see my hands aren't quite fitting through there with that HDMI. So I'll go back and loosen this first Nato rail, the very bottom one with the side handle, and scooch that whole thing over just until I have enough room to get through there with my hand. Again, this is why I like that double Nato rail setup, because you can move this side handle freely to get as much room there as you need. And then from there, move that top handle back to the center and just tighten it up from there. And there it is, pretty easy. And then the whole beauty of this setup is that if you want to break down and go to gimbal, all you need to do is undo that HDMI, and then you just slide that whole entire handle setup off, all in one. Take your mic off, take your other side handle off, which again is not even really necessary. And from there, you're good to go to a gimbal super, super quickly. That's kind of why I like this whole setup. Again, the beauty of rig builds is that you can customize it to however you want. I've just found that this works the best for me. Simple setup for handheld run and gun, stripping down to a gimbal in no time at all. So I hope that video didn't end up being too long, but I just wanted to give you a quick look into my rig, the build, and the parts that go into it. One of my favorite things about rig building is it's kind of like adult Legos, where you're able just to identify your needs and then build your rig around those needs. And everyone's is different. So I really like being out and shooting with someone else and seeing their rig and kind of seeing how they build everything around their camera to fit their style of shooting. If you do have a rig video of your own, make sure to drop it down in the comments and hit the like button. Again, I don't want this video to be too long, so I'm gonna keep it there, but we'll see you in the next one.